Welcome to Talk About Scary, the show where we do just that. Talk about scary places and whether or not the stories are true. Everybody loves a good ghost story, right?
I know I do.
I do too. And what better place to start with than a haunted hotel? Hotels are naturally creepy. I mean, most hotels have been around for years, decades, maybe even 100 years at this point. So they have a lot of history. A lot of people have stayed in them. And let's talk about the Monte Vista Hotel, located in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Hold on. Before we get any further, I didn't know you were going to talk about this one. I have a pretty cool story about this when we're finished if you want to talk about it.
Oh, have you been there?
Pretty insane. Yeah, you can say that. But I'll wait till the end. I hear what you guys say.
Sure. I want to hear your story, though. So, all right, so there's a lot of things that have happened here. This isn't just a hotel where it's someone saw one ghost one time, or two people saw one ghost, or someone heard one noise. It's literally...
Or 5 people saw one ghost. You don't want 5 people to see one ghost.
Minimum of 5 people. Anyway, moving on. This is a hotel where multiple rooms have activity. Different ghosts, and a lot of people, some pretty credible, including John Wayne, mind you, have seen and heard some scary things. So let's talk about that.
The Duke has seen some scary things.
He has. You want to hear?
Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I'm telling you.
You're telling me that John Wayne has stayed in this hotel and seen scary things.
He frequently stayed in this hotel. Actually, he frequently stayed in room 210. Now, 210 is reported that many people have heard a knock on the door and then someone calling out room service. Other guests...
Maybe it was a maid.
Well, that does make sense. But no, when they open the door, no one's there. But they don't feel threatened by the ghost necessarily. It's just something's off. And unless it's a maid that, quickly scurried down the hall and went around the corner, the likelihood is that these people have seen or heard something. In fact, other guests have reported the same experience and have actually seen a young man in a red coat with brass buttons outside the hall of room 210. So whether or not that's the same person, and some people hear it, some people see it, maybe some people experience both, but John Wayne has experienced this, and that's an interesting point, I think. He's pretty credible.
Okay. Yeah, but I gotta pause this for a second. I got 2 questions for you. One, what is John Wayne doing in Flagstaff? That doesn't make a lot of sense that he's there. Are you sure that's actually a factual thing?
It is. John Wayne actually spent a lot of time in Flagstaff because a lot of movies have been filmed in Arizona, especially
really
Old West movies. Correct, yeah.
Oh, geez Louise. And my next question for you. Okay, I'll suspend disbelief on the John Wayne thing. But why does... When everybody sees someone who's dead, it's always in period clothing, they see a bellboy with brass buttons and everything. Like he didn't have an extra life, like he wasn't like outside with his girl walking around once in a while. He was always in bellboy attire. And because of that, I want to also ask, how about people that died in the 80s? Why don't we see them wearing crappy clothes?
That's true.
We don't see any 80s ghosts floating around with really high shoulder pads.
I think a lot of it, personal opinion here, disclaimer, personal opinion. I think a lot of it has to do with it's not necessarily the ghost or spirit that is haunting the place. It's more of the energy that's left that person gave to that place. So it's almost like repeating themselves over and over in that area. In fact, it could be possible that that energy from that person could be haunting somewhere else too. So let me get to another example where it kind of makes sense for what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Same example with we're doing the hotel still?
Yeah, we're still on the hotel.
Okay.
So There's a little boy that is said to wander the halls of the hotel as if he's speaking with his mother. So people have seen him like go around corners, and they've heard him as if he's speaking with someone. And like I said, many people claim that it's probably his mother. And a lot of guests and staff have seen a couple in formal dresswear, laughing and dancing in the cocktail lounge. And that kind of makes it sound like they're almost reliving a happier moment in their life. Or maybe they were there at one point, both have passed on, and their energy is just still in that place. Maybe the place is prone to having energy. I mean, like, I don't think my house is haunted necessarily. There's not really a whole lot of energy there. But in a place like a hotel or a cemetery where it's just seen a lot of foot traffic from people, and so many different people have come and gone and lived lives there, that's sort of my interpretation of why you might see a couple ballroom dancing in a cocktail lounge.
Okay, kind of like the Haunted Mansion at Disney.
Exactly, yeah. There's a ride.
Nice,
There's a ride.
nice.
If you want to ride the Monte Vista ride, they renamed it to the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. Check it out.
Nice, nice. I actually have a haunted room in my house. It's the bathroom.
Oh, yeah? Phantom poops?
Yeah, I hear growling and groaning coming out of there all the time. I don't know what it is.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, so the mom and the kid, right?
Yeah.
So, again, I'm going to say this one more time. I actually have a story that I think sounds pretty similar to what I experienced. I'm not going to talk about it yet. I'm going to let you keep talking.
Sure.
But,
I do want to hear it, though.
Yeah.
So I'll try to make some of these notes quick so that we can get to your story.
Sure, I don't believe you, but let's give it a shot.
You don't believe me? All right.
All right.
How about room 305? Guests have reported seeing a rocking chair rock by itself. Yeah. Do you believe that?
It's the wind.
The wind?
No. Rocking chairs are built to rock. I don't believe any of that. Like, people always say, I'm sorry, you can make a rocking chair rock just by the wind blowing, I think, personally. I don't know.
Okay, all right. There's more to the room, though. I just stopped because I wanted to hear what you said about that one thing. How about people have also heard knocking coming from the closet in that room? Legend has it that an elderly woman who was a longtime renter once lived in the room and would sit by the window for hours on end. And people walking by the room's window have reported seeing a woman rocking in the chair. And oftentimes the maids that we talked about earlier report finding the chair moved to a different place from where they left it. What do you got?
I don't know.
The wind?
It seems like a lot of fishtails.
The wind?
Listen, everybody, someone can move a chair from place to place. What if someone's vacuuming or sweeping? They move the chair. That's totally
so
normal.
you think they're just like taking the broom and like bashing the chair from corner to corner and then leaving, and they're like, it moved. It moved.
I mean, I got a rocking chair in my house. I vacuum once in a while. I sweep. I might have moved my rocking chair around a little bit.
What about the fact that the woman was there? You don't think the two are tied? I mean, maybe if...
Well, does it have a ghost woman? Couldn't it just be a regular woman in a rocking chair? I don't know. That seems a little bit thin to me. Like, I would more believe the Duke than people walking by and seeing a woman in a rocking chair.
All right. How about the room right next door? 306, because it could also be 304, but this is 306 for those taking notes.
Definitely not 304.
2 prostitutes are said to haunt that room. The two...
Hey now!
The 2 women were supposedly killed in the early 1940s, and then their bodies were thrown from the 3rd floor window, because it's 306, so 3rd floor. Anyway, some guests have had the feeling of cold hands over their mouths or throats, or even awakening and having a hard time breathing, like they're struggling.
Well, until you said a hard time breathing and struggling, I felt like that was a pretty sexy experience.
Fair enough.
I would have no problems
fair
with
enough.
that. Yeah.
That's it, though?
Like Dan Aykroyd in Ghostbusters.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, very, very much so. In fact, that could be one of these 2 prostitutes right there on film. Because it...
Nice ghost ladies.
Yeah.
Hey.
You don't
Okay,
believe any
so-
of that though? Nothing's going for you?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of think that, I don't know. When it comes to feelings and stuff like that, I'm a half skeptic.
It's easy to feel something when you're alone. I'll give you that. It's like when you watch a scary movie and you walk around your house and you get that uneasy feeling when you go to the kitchen. You wouldn't have that if you just got done watching a comedy movie, Ghostbusters, for example. You know, it's just, I think a lot of it is in your head. I'll give you that.
Best movie ever. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, I used to go down to the basement when I was a kid, and you'd start to turn the lights off, and then you would actually feel like electricity run through your back, and you'd run up the stairs like as fast as you could.
Yeah, and you're screaming, "Don't cross the streams."
Don't cross the streams. I used to cross the streams all the time in the winter time. That's how we used to write our names in the snow.
In Flagstaff, though, right? In Flagstaff, because it snows.
It is. Yeah. It is. Yeah. In Flagstaff. That's right. That is correct. It snows in Flagstaff, and it is actually very cold up there. So they couldn't actually talk about cold spots, which I think is another garbage move, talking about cold spots in areas. But do they have any of those occurrences there, like cold spots in the hotel?
No, but how about another room? 220.
Another room. Okay, 220. So this is on the 4th floor.
Well, you don't add the 2 2s and the 0 to get the 4. It's the first number is the floor. So 2nd floor.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how that works. Anyway, 220. Another long-term renter, so similar to the woman that resided in 305, was a man who he died in the room, and then he wasn't found for several days. And then a maintenance man actually reported finding the TV turned on at full volume, and the bed sheets were like ripped to shreds. And to this day, guests still report the TV turning on by itself, and some strange feelings and cold stuff that we've already talked about and you don't believe. But it does seem to kind of be a recurring theme in the hotel. So again, maybe it goes back to the whole energy thing of it just, you feel it, and maybe people are feeling it because something is off or wrong, just in the whole area.
Okay.
But
the TV, though, I mean, remote control. I mean, maybe it's like a gimmick. Do you know what I mean? I feel like some of the haunted hotels I've gone to explore in our line of work that I think that a lot of times it's just really gimmicky. So I think sometimes they have them hooked up to like a remote control or something like that where they turn it off and on the TVs. There's a lot of hotels in the state that I feel like have that same experience. Like the televisions turn on by themselves, and I'm like, I don't know about that one.
But when they turn on, why does it turn on to full volume? Or how about the bed sheets? Why would they be ripped? I don't think TVs turn on and then the bed sheets just rip for fun.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you the bed sheets. That's pretty creepy.
I'm pretty sure the guy was like a butcher too. Maybe the two go hand in hand, cleaver and cleaver.
Talk about scary.
That is the name of the show. But I got one more big one for you. Okay. How about this?
Well, make it good.
In 1970, 3 men robbed a bank nearby the hotel.
All right, I can get behind this one. Little cowboys and cowboys and robbers.
Afterwards,
trying to be PC here.
They went to the bar at the hotel to get a drink, and one of the men was shot and killed. And it's very common now for people that go to the bar, including management that works there, to hear things in the morning when they go in. They'll hear someone saying good morning or hello pretty much every morning, very, very frequently. And then there's also reports of bar stools and drinks that seem to move on their own. So how about a robbery gone wrong turned ghost story?
Well, if nothing else, I think someone dying in that room and getting shot and dying in that room, that is pretty scary. And I would like to sit in the stool he was. I wonder if they have the same stool still. That'd be cool. Sit in that
probably
stool.
not, because he bled to death while enjoying his last drink, so it's probably stained. Unless it was a red stool, and they just were like, it's cool, fresh coat of paint. But otherwise...
Or like heavily lacquered.
Yeah, but otherwise I feel like they probably, tossed it.
That's too bad.
But how about
I've been there.
How about the
I've been to
anonymous
that bar.
voice? The anonymous voice. Have you heard it? You've been to the bar? Have you heard it?
No, I've not heard a voice. I actually was there at night, so I didn't hear the voice. I've actually been to this place, and I've been in that bar before.
Oh yeah. Did you see anything out of the norm?
I didn't. Well,
You said you had a story.
okay,
Let's hear
so
it.
all right. Well, it's so I just want to make this clear. I do not believe in ghosts. I don't believe in the supernatural. Not
He
really.
believes.
Nah, not really. Well, I've explored. I've tried to believe. I want to believe. But I've explored and been called to, I don't know, dozens of places. I'm gonna say dozens of places to investigate their hotels or to stay the night. And I do, and they always have. A lot of them have similar stories. TVs turning on and off, knocking and scratching at the door, stuff like that. I've never experienced any of that stuff, but I will say, maybe it was about 15 years ago. My wife and I like to travel around Arizona, and we went to Flagstaff. It was in the winter. I missed the snow, so we went. We had a bunch of drinks across from this hotel at a bar, and we decided we were too intoxicated to drive any further. We went across the street and got a room at this hotel, the Hotel Monte Vista, and it was under renovation. So we're
Well, good decision not to drink
ringing,
and drive. Credit where credit is due, Adam. Good job.
I would have to haunt my car in the same clothes I was wearing 15 years ago, which were garbage clothes. So I'm glad I didn't die then. So, okay. So we go into the hotel room and, not the hotel room. We go into the lobby and no one's there. And there's a little, ringer. So I ring the bell a few times and someone comes up and they say, hey, they talk to us and they're like, most of our rooms are under renovation. We pay like $70 to get a room. And it's one of the only rooms they have available. So we take it. And, we don't know anything about the hotel at all. We're both zonkered. We're just trashed. And my wife goes to lay down and go to sleep. And I start to lock the doors. There's 3 locks, right? There's a chain lock, and there's a spring lock, and there's a deadbolt. I want to make sure you get this. There's a chain lock on the top, a spring bolt in the middle, and a deadbolt, like a heavy old deadbolt.
So this door's
with no
not
spring.
opening.
No. Okay, so you get where I'm going. So I go turn off the light, and the light's right by the door, and it's one of those old lights, the lamps that have the little switch on them, like the twisty switch, and I turn it off, and right when I turn it off, both locks pop open really violently, and the door slams open and gets caught by the chain.
Jeez.
So it scared the crap out of me. I immediately became sober, and I just looked at the door for like a minute, and I tried to wake up my wife, and she wouldn't wake up. Because, as you know, when you drink, sometimes you fall asleep and don't wake up for a while. So she kind of stirred, but I couldn't wake her up, and I felt ridiculous. So I just closed the door after a few minutes when I had enough nerve to close the door and lock it again, and I sat in a rocking chair, and I watched the door. And so I'm going to tell you right now that the room was 305.
Oh, so you actually are the one moving that rocking chair. When people walk by, they saw you, at least on that day.
Yeah. Now, it was terrifying. And I sat there, and as I sat there, I really had to go to the bathroom for like 4 hours because I drank a lot of beer, and I was getting sober and more sober, and I was getting a hangover, and I had to go to the bathroom, and I could hear people outside the door, so I felt like more comfortable. I heard running, and I heard someone laughing. So I decided to go to the bathroom, and when I go out there, there's just a woman at the end of the hall, and I see her, but I don't look at her. I look down, it's still pretty dark, it's winter, and the bathrooms are shared bathrooms. There's no bathroom because I didn't mention there's no bathroom in the room.
Yeah.
They're all shared bathrooms in the hallway. So I go to the bathroom and I come out right after I wash my hands thoroughly. And and I look up and there's nobody there. And I'm like, well, she must have left. And I go to shut the door and I lock the door and I immediately hear a kid laughing and someone running up and down the hallway again. So at that point in time, I sat back in the chair and I sat there until the sun came up. And as soon as it was like 7 o'clock, 7:30 when the sun came up, I woke up my wife and I told her we had to leave. And she didn't know why. I said, we just have to go, please, let's just go. And like a baby, we left. And I left the key at the front desk. I didn't really check out. And we went to a really, really nasty hotel down the street by the train tracks. And we fell asleep there for like 6 or 7 hours until I could drive home. And when I woke up, she asked me what happened, and I told her. And she was like, yeah, that hotel is haunted. Because she's lived in Arizona her whole life. And I'm like, oh, really? And she was like, yeah. And and someone told us that 305 is the most haunted room in the place. but we didn't know that at the time. And so while I don't believe in ghosts, I'm just gonna say that out of all the hotels that invited me to stay so I could check in and see if there were ghosts and things of that nature, I'm never effing stepping in that place ever again. I'm not gonna walk to the front door. I don't give a shit. I don't know what it was, and it could have been my imagination, or might have been a little bit drunk or whatever. But it's so scary. I wish you all could see the goosebumps on my arms from it. That's how scary it was. Never experienced a haunting in my life. If that's a haunting, if that's what that was, then I'm good.
Well,
that's it.
I mean, it sounds like you pretty much experienced half of the stuff that we've been talking about this episode. Kids running up and down the hall. I talked about a kid. Women, literally the room you stayed in and the room next door were both occupied by spirits of women. And I mean, just saying that it seems like some of the former guests of this hotel are still roaming the building. Whether or not
I will say that when I walked out, I will say when I walked out of the room and I saw the woman, there's a hallway and there's like a door at the end of the hallway. It looks like maybe went to a fire escape or something at one time. I didn't pay attention, but when I was walking down the hall, and this hotel was totally quiet. There was later on that evening there was a bar there and there was a bartender and we had a drink there, but other than that there was there's no one there. I'm going to tell you that wasn't like they show you on television, like it was a spirit, like a see-through person floating in the air. It was just a person there.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they look like. I don't know. I don't know if I can believe it or not, but I thought it was really strange that we're starting this and the very first thing you pick up is this one.
Well, it came up as one of the most haunted hotels in the United States. So I figured, what a way to start. It has lots and lots of stories behind it. There's even more that we just don't have time to get into. But several rooms. It's not just, like I said, it's not just one room where people have seen lots of different things. There's lots of different stories from different decades, from the 40s to the 70s to even more modern, where things are happening and you can stay on different floors and even not in a room, just the bar like we talked about. So I don't know. I haven't been there to see it. Adam, you've been there. You seem skeptical, but if I were you in that situation and I had been through some of the things that you just said, I wouldn't want to go back either. I would probably say that it's haunted and it'd be fun to experience it, but I don't want to provoke.
I won't step back in there, I'll tell you that much. So. You can go. I'll wait outside. I'll go to the bar outside. It kind of
sounds like the outside isn't any better than the inside. I mean, unless you're going to wait in the street.
I'll wait in the street. I'm not going to go inside ever. It is probably good to note, in case anybody who wants to go explore this place, the address. You have an address for it? Should I look it up?
I do. Got it right here. It looks like it's 100 North San Francisco Street, Flagstaff, Arizona.
There you go. So if you guys want to check them out, maybe get a hotel room and see if you can experience anything there, we'd love to hear from you. See, maybe we have a shared experience. Let's see. I'm looking up on my laptop here, and they've got a number, a toll-free number. It's 800-545-3068. So there you go. That's what I have for it.
Well, that was fun. Thank you all for joining us on Talk About Scary, and hopefully you learned something. And there's definitely going to be a lot more next time. So creep it real. And we'll be back.
Creep it real.
For more.
Good. I like that, creep it real. Where'd you get that from? You steal it from someone?
We don't have to talk about it.
All right. Creep it real, guys. See you next time.